It was reported overnight that several drones were shot down, but also apparently one struck an important infrastructure object in Kyiv region. That's how the authorities described it. They don't like to be too precise about where or what exactly in order not to help the Russians with targeting. But they said this particular strike was so important as to mean that the electricity cut-offs that have been going on for days now, rolling cut-offs in Kyiv region and other regions of central Ukraine, including Cherkasy region, where I am now, are going to have to be extended, and they're not necessarily going to be able to stick to the timetable that they had set out, where the cut-offs would last for 4 hours maximum and a maximum of 2 times per day per area. As you can see, perhaps behind me here in Uman at the moment, the electricity is on in people's homes, but I get the very strong impression that people are trying to use as little electricity as possible, and the street lighting here, as all over Ukraine, in fact, is switched off. Meanwhile, today also, Ukraine announced that it had done an experimental import of electricity from Slovakia, looking to the possibility of importing electricity from EU countries as a potential temporary solution to this crisis, or partial solution at least. I remind you, though, that until very recently, Ukraine was a net exporter of electricity and had been proudly telling the European Union that it could help this year with potential problems with energy in EU countries. That's clearly no longer the case.
Yeah, indeed. And Ukraine's meanwhile accusing Russia of not fulfilling its obligations under the grain agreement that was brokered this summer, and thereby jeopardizing food supplies. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, what the Ukrainians accuse Russia of doing exactly is delaying the inspections that are carried out under this agreement. The deal was that Russia could inspect ships as they come into the Black Sea headed for Ukrainian ports. These inspections carried out in the Bosphorus. And I spoke actually yesterday to the Deputy Infrastructure Minister in Ukraine, who's responsible for shipping. He said that until a few weeks ago, these inspections were taking about an hour per ship, and that were going so smoothly, in fact, that the shippers had managed to get their costs down almost to normal pre-war levels. At the beginning, insurers, transporters, everybody involved was charging much more money because of the uncertainty, because of the potential delays. Now these delays are happening again. That's pushing the costs up massively. Ukraine says at the moment there's more than 165 vessels in the Bosphorus waiting to get to Ukrainian ports, meaning that the amount of grain Ukraine is able to export is falling drastically. And what they think this is all about is that the deal comes to renewal on the 19th of November. It runs out on the 19th of November. Ukraine very much wants it to be renewed, and renewed for a year. They think that Russia is dragging its feet and trying to win some concessions, perhaps in terms of further sanctions relief or something. But the Ukrainian position is simply that they're not dealing directly with Russia on this issue. They're counting on the United Nations and Turkey, who brokered the original deal, to manage to broker its renewal.